Hello everyone. Today I'm going to do a presentation of Introduction to Classroom Interaction. So as you can see, the source is included here, learning.edx.org, and educators are also included here. So let's get started. Foundations of Classroom Interaction. So teachers have to have mutual understanding with their students, and the Brazilian educator Paulo Freire says that teachers have to talk with rather than to their students. And I'm going to explain this, what is talking with students instead of talking to students. So talking with students is, more like having a conversation with them. It's more engaging and it's more productive, and it's also less like lecturing. And talking with students is, obviously a lot more productive than talking to students. Talking with is a much more personal and challenging endeavor than talking to, and this can be especially challenging if they come come from different backgrounds. Why study your own classroom interactions? So understanding the interaction in your classroom helps to understand individuals and avoid stereotyping, improve students' achievement, and also enhance your own love of teaching. So studying your own classroom interactions is priceless because every classroom is unique. It would be kind of like counterproductive to generalize from other studies directly to the students. Teachers have to understand the interaction specific to their own classroom. So that's why they have to kind of understand their own interactions and study their own classroom interactions. National Board Teacher Certification. So this is a certification, as you can see on the right. This is a certification that the highest level teachers achieve professionally, and it is also linked to understanding patterns of interaction in classrooms. To become nationally board certified, teachers need to video record their own classrooms and submit reports where they analyze and reflect on interaction in those videos. And here's also an interesting part. Researchers also suggest that developing such habits pays off in student achievement. Patterns in classroom interaction. So there are this actually divides into five. One, turn taking patterns. Two, question types. Three, contextualization cues. Four, narrative. And five, participation structures. So I'm going to explain them in detail in the next pages. Turn taking patterns. So here the teacher asks a known answer question like what is 2 plus 2, and the students provides the response 4, and the teacher evaluates it. As you can see, this is also called IRA sequence because it's got three components. Initiation, here the teacher asks the question what is 2 plus 2. The response part, here the student responds to the question posed to them. 4, they say. And evaluation feedback process, this is where teacher con- maybe congratulates the student, saying good, yes, it's correct. Question types. So there are actually two question types. One, known answer questions, and open-ended questions. So here the you know I'm going to explain known answer questions. The primary function is to kind of prompt students to display information already known to the teacher. It's got one obviously right answer. It's not like general. It's one particular answer. Like it as in the example previously. What is 2 plus 2? It's got one specific answer. Open-ended questions. So here the teacher doesn't really seek one right answer, and even the teacher may not have predetermined answer in their mind, because it's an open-ended question. They, you know the answers may vary vastly. Contextualization cues. So here it describes the non-linguistic features of communication, such as intonations. So for example, for this might be, you know saying "oh great" in like a lower or more depressing tone, and also saying "oh great" in like a more enthusiastic and happier tone. Narrative. Another resource teachers use to engage in classroom interactions is narrative. Teachers often use narratives to provide context for their lessons, or to simply capture students' attention, because of course, telling narratives or telling stories is going to capture the attention of the audience, the attention of the students, because you know people people are always drawn to narratives and stories. They like to listen to or read stories and narratives. So this is a very productive tactic to get their attention in the in the class. Participation structures. There are different ways of arranging verbal interactions with students. These are group check-in, small groups, whole group discussion, individual quick writes, and group sharing. Context and classroom interaction. Language in a classroom differs vastly actually from the language outside of the classroom, because the teacher is always obviously going to have to speak more formally in a classroom than they do when they're maybe speaking to one of their family members or something. And sorry, example for that might be, a teacher may not listen to what one of his students has to say about his birthday in the classroom, but after the formal class ends, he will be probably more than willing to listen to the student. Individuals in classroom interaction. Classroom interaction is both predictable and unpredictable. Students bring different communication habits from their life into the classroom, and much of pre- predictable predictability in interaction, much of what we say every day to students and how students respond back is predictable. So example for this might be, teacher comes into the class and says good morning class, and the class responds back to the students saying good morning. So this is obviously very predictable, you know and without this sort of predictability, it'd be pretty difficult to conduct class at all. Here are a couple more examples regarding this. These are called agency pairs in classroom interaction. So this can be, like I said in the previous page, greeting. Teacher says good morning, and the students respond back to the teacher saying good morning. Or question answer type. This can be like this. The teacher might say, "Is today Friday?" and the student responds back to the teacher saying yes. Or invitation and acceptance. Teacher might say, "Would you like to read next?" and students might say sure. Or assessment disagreement. Here the teacher might say, "This is a beautiful short story," and the student respond, "I thought it was creepy actually." These kinds of examples, we might actually multiply them. There are lots of them. Rephrasing questions. Teacher Karen Gullis found that reframing abstract science questions into personal everyday language increased participation. So as an example, instead of like asking what is gravity, the teacher might simply say, why when you jump do you come down? Or instead of say asking, where do dreams come from, they might the teacher might say, how do dreams get into our head? So here, as you can see, it is much more predictable and it's much more fruitful when you think about it. Thank you so much for listening to me.